let's do fraud power rankings, and then
Please.
we can wrap it up. Maybe touch on the combine a little bit, but I want to go through these because we missed a lot, and I don't I have a lot on my list, but I got to whittle it down to 5. So I'm going to do this on the fly.
Mm.
I'm going to do this. Number 5 for me on the fraud power rankings this week is Mark Turgeon.
Oh, wow. Oh,
For a
my
lot of
goodness.
reasons.
Oh, oh my gosh. That was the best start ever. I'm fired up. Good start.
I think I think this is recency bias, but I just saw Daryl Morcell is transferring to Marquette, by the way.
Yep,
Big Ten
yep.
Defensive Player of the Year, 4-year starter at Maryland from Baltimore.
Yep.
Kind of baffling on the surface. Turgeon puts out a statement that Morcell will always be welcome back to College Park, that he's a Terp for life, et cetera, et cetera. But the questions are swirling, Tate. Why would this man leave? This man was Maryland basketball in my mind. Like I thought of Morcell before I thought of, I don't know, a lot of the other guys that they've had roll through there. Jalen Smith, Kevin Herter,
or Wiggins,
Cowan. You know,
Yeah.
they've had a lot of great players. Daryl
Kevin
Morcell,
Herter.
Yeah, he has been the rock for Maryland basketball in my mind, and he is now transferring to Marquette. We remember after the season, he said, I would like to officially announce that I could do anything. I'm a wild card. You have no idea where I'm going. I might go to the draft. I might come out of the draft.
He basically said, "Stay tuned."
Yeah,
that's the best way to keep us engaged.
I might transfer. I might go to the G League. You have no idea what I'm about to do. And in the end, he transfers to Marquette. So that's a bad look for Maryland, because remember, Mark Turgeon won big time out of the gate. He hires Danny Manning. He gets the transfer Qudus Wahab. Who was the other? Fats Russell.
Fats Russell.
Yeah, Fats Russell. They get the transfers. Everything's rolling Maryland's way. I feel like he blew his wad too soon in the offseason. Now it's coming back around on him. Loses Morcell. There's that. Number 2, you already mentioned this earlier. Maryland does not get Coach K to come to College Park for the ACC Big Ten Challenge, which I felt like it was a must. I felt like you have to do that.
That was huge.
Turgeon,
that was a
huge
L.
favors. You figure it out. You just figure it out. You just call you call the Big Ten office. You say figure it out, and you hang up. And that's probably what he did, honestly.
Yeah, they said, "Who's this?" Hung up.
Who is this? But then there's more. You bring up Kevin Herter. Kevin Herter won 0 NCAA tournament games in his time in Maryland. I just wanted to point this out, that this man, he has not had a great series against the Bucks, but he did score 27 points in Game 7 while we were away, and is kind of becoming a breakout star-ish.
I mean, he's a starter on a team in the conference finals, and he's a pivotal, scorer for that team. And he's been great on defense. I mean, he's so good that, like, my parents watch basketball. They watch all basketball, and they didn't even believe me when I said he played at Maryland. You know what I mean? That's how forgetful his time at Maryland was. And you can see now that he obviously has star potential. So that's
which is the indictment on Mark Turgeon that I would like to bring up.
Yes.
And it goes even deeper, Tate, because when everyone thinks of Mark Turgeon, when everyone thinks of players in the NBA that Mark Turgeon's coach, they think of the Maryland players, and rightfully so. He is the Maryland head coach. But people forget, Tate, that Chris Middleton, a man who took over Game 3 for the Milwaukee Bucks, went absolutely nuts in the fourth quarter, could not miss, played at Texas A&M under a guy by the name of Mark Turgeon for 2 years. They won 1 NCAA tournament game in Middleton's 2 years he had with Turgeon. And then the third year, who was it? Billy Kennedy took over, right?
Yeah.
Billy Kennedy takes over Middleton's final year. But Middleton plays 2 years for Turgeon as well. They win 1 NCAA tournament game. I just wanted to point this out, that Chris Middleton, Kevin Herter are superstars in the NBA. Maybe not superstars, maybe just stars. They're playing well. People know their names.
Yeah.
They are
Middleton might be playing like a superstar right now. Yeah.
Yes. And if you look at who these guys played for in college, the answer is Mark Turgeon. And then you say to yourself, why do I not remember that? And the answer is Mark Turgeon.
Yes. the turd sandwich, as we call him on this program.
Yeah. So I got thinking about that. I got thinking about Kevin Herter won 0 NCAA tournament games in his time in college. Chris Middleton won 1 NCAA tournament game. And I thought about this, Tate, at number 4 of my fraud power rankings, the NCAA tournament.
I
think as first reported on this program, the NCAA tournament this specific season was a Mickey Mouse tournament. We know that, but I'm going through the data and I'm wondering aloud, Tate,
are they all Mickey Mouse
tournaments? Because think about these guys that are balling out in the playoffs right now that won 0 NCAA tournament games. Trae Young, 2018 loses in the first round to Rhode Island. He's gone. That's it. That's his NCAA
Mm-hmm.
tournament experience. Did not win an NCAA tournament game. DeAndre Ayton smoked in the first round against Buffalo in 2018. Did not win an NCAA tournament game.
Oh my
Paul
God.
George never even made the NCAA tournament. Is now the guy on the Clippers because Kawhi is out, and Paul George is carrying them to probably they're playing tonight. We're recording this before Game 5, but they might lose in 5. But Paul George carried him this far.
Yeah,
Goes to him. Has never made the tournament in his 2 seasons at Fresno State. Kevin Huerter loses the first round versus Xavier in 2017, misses the tourney in 2018. And then the guy you brought up earlier, Reggie Jackson at Boston College, loses in the first round to USC in 2009, never made the tournament the rest of his time at Boston College. All of these guys are starting in Eastern or Western Conference finals, and none of them won an NCAA tournament game.
Can I throw Chris Paul into the ring as well? I mean,
throw him in there.
I mean, a second round. I mean, they were destined for a national championship. They beat North Carolina at home that year. They get to number 1 in the country. Everyone's saying Justin Gray is better than JJ Redick. Eric Williams is unstoppable. Kevin Pittsnoggle knocks him out of the tournament. So, I mean, I think you're right. Is it always been a Disney tournament? That's what people are saying.
Who's the I guess Mikal Bridges is kind of the counter to this.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, of the guys that actually played in college, like obviously Giannis didn't.
But even
PJ
like
Tucker went to the Elite 8, right?
With Texas. Yeah, but even like Cam Johnson, he didn't go to a Final Four. You know what I mean? Like it's really, if you parse through it all, yeah, it makes
Brooke
you think
Lopez. I can't imagine Stanford had great runs.
And then let's think about it. The greatest run we've seen, in the past decade, Kemba Walker. Now he's been shipped to Oklahoma City. You know what I mean?
Great point. Anthony Davis, also a great run, and now he's like,
Lakers fans are like, trade him for Andrew Wiggins and James Wiseman.
So there you go. Number 4, the NCAA tournament. It might actually be just as a whole a Mickey Mouse operation, as it turns out.
Honestly, great fraud.
Number 3 on the fraud power rankings, and this one really is devastating to say this, but again, I don't play favorites. I have to call it like I see it, and at number 3, I have Damian Lillard. What is transpiring with Damian Lillard? There's no other way to describe it than fraudulent. It is fraudulent behavior on the part of Damian Lillard. I have made my love for Damian Lillard clear on this program many times over, Tate. I love that he is a small market guy. I love that he has said over and over and over again that he wants to end his career in Portland. I believe him when he says it. I believe that there's more honor in Damian Lillard's mind in losing in the first round, but balling out and doing everything you can to win with guys that you've cultivated around you via draft, via however they got there. Yeah. It's a team that was built in his mind organically. He would rather lose with those guys in the first round than build a super team and win a title. That's not what he's about. And yet this whole situation with Chauncey Billups, I'm smelling some bullshit. I don't like it. I don't like how we got here. That Damian Lillard basically publicly says, I want Chauncey Billups to be, maybe not publicly, but obviously he picked Chauncey Billups as the coach. Like they went to Chauncey Billups, or they went to Damian Lillard. They said, who do you want? He said Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups. That's pretty much the 2 names he threw out. The Blazers hired Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups has a checkered past, we'll call it. And now all of a sudden Damian Lillard is getting heat from Blazers fans, from people in the media, from everybody for why would you support this dude? Why did you want this guy so badly? And apparently Damian Lillard is now setting the stage, Tate, to turn it on Blazers fans to say, the reason I'm going to leave, the heat that you are giving me is too much. You guys, this is unfair how you were treating me. I've tried to carry this franchise. Now you're coming at my neck because I wanted Chauncey Billups to be the coach when I didn't even realize he had XYZ in his past. You know what? It might be best if I just wipe my hands of all of this and go play for the Lakers. What do you say about that? And I feel like that's what's coming, and it's fraudulent. I don't like it one bit. Damian, please reconsider. Don't do it.
You know what it smells of? It smells of one man, and you said his name already, Jason Kidd, and it sounds to me a lot like he said, "Run into me," and it sounds like he told Dame Lillard. He told Dame Lillard that Portland was never going to be the place, so he went to go work with Luka. But he said, first and foremost, I'll tell you how to get out of there. Run into me. And it does seem like that is how it's all playing out. The whole Chauncey Billups backlash, I did not honestly see coming, because he has gotten so much love throughout the playoffs for what he's been able to do with Ty Lue's staff. So when it happened, when he got hired, and then the backlash was immediate. I think that's why Dame was probably thrown off too. And now he puts up like this quote yesterday. It was like, the biggest test is like how you handle people that have mishandled you. Like you said, the writing on the wall is that Dame Lillard is going to ask for a trade.
I just ask for the trade, Dame. Ask for the trade straight up. Don't run into Jason Kidd's ice cup and spill it on the floor. That's all I'm asking. That's fraudulent.
And that's what he did. He listened to the J Kidd playbook, and that's not always good. But I will say, if you're the Knicks, this is the time to strike. If you're the Knicks, you signed Julius Randle today to the Supermax, and then you are calling and saying, we have 5 first-round picks, Julius Randle, the most improved player in the league, and we will send him to Portland, and we will drive Dame Lillard to the airport for you because he obviously doesn't love Portland anymore. You know what I mean? Like, if you're New York, this is the time. The time to strike is now, because the Lakers, like you said, this is all that LeBron has been waiting for. He's been waiting for Dame Lillard to become free. And what's so crazy about that is that LeBron is a point guard. So I don't know why he's so obsessed with finding a point guard. You know what I mean? Like, point guards are not necessarily what he needs. It's nice to have a Rondo that can take the ball, from you and take some of those responsibilities away. But you don't need a superstar point guard because you're already the superstar point guard, So that whole part of this, I hope that Dame doesn't go to LA because I don't want him to be Dennis Schroeder and have people saying, send him to the Shanghai Sharks. You know what I mean? And saying that he's trash now, because that's what it feels like LA will look like. And if he goes to New York and he goes to Madison Square Garden with that media push behind him, he may end up being the GOAT by the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, Dame Lillard scoring 50 in Madison Square Garden in a playoff game, even if they lost, Knicks fans would start calling him the GOAT. That's where he should go. He should be funneled to a team, because at least it's not a super team. It can't be a super team.
This is becoming my favorite offseason tradition, even though the playoffs are going on. It's the Lakers offseason. Is Lakers fans who spent the entire playoffs shitting on all the role players and how bad they are, now turning around and trying to pump up those role players as great assets. And,
yes.
There's Kyle Kuzma and Schroeder.
You're saying Portland won't take Kuzma and Schroeder? Are you kidding me? Those are 2 starters on a championship team. Like, what? You told me you were sending them to the Shanghai Sharks literally last week.
Oh man, what if Space Jam 2? Damian Lillard is ultimately his next move is unveiled in Space Jam 2. That's what we learned. It's that meta. It's
Trae Young should have been
the after credits. The after credits. There's something with Damian Lillard where a trade is announced. Woj comes up on the screen and announces the trade in the theater.
Honestly,
there you have it. Number 2 on the fraud power rankings, Rudy Gobert. This man, this is kind of old news, but we were away while the Utah Jazz imploded. I watched this happen on my couch. I returned from Myrtle Beach. I was visiting the fam in Myrtle Beach right before, like we recorded the episode with Greg last week, and then I fly back to LA. I didn't feel great. I had a little sore throat. And I decided I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to lay on the couch and just kill some NyQuil and just kind of doze off watching the Jazz blow the doors off of the Los Angeles Clippers, right? Tape. Mm-hmm. And I wake up in a stupor to see the Clippers going absolutely nuts as Rudy Gobert cannot guard a single player on the court. The man who is maybe
the
one of the greatest
player of the year,
not just the defensive player of the year, maybe one of the greatest defenders in NBA history. The way people talk about him, this is his value to the Jazz. Everyone else that the Jazz put on the floor can shoot threes. Rudy Gobert can dunk the basketball and guard everybody. He's a great defender. And the Los Angeles Clippers say, bullshit. We're gonna call your bluff on this. We're gonna make you come out and challenge 3-point shots. He could not do it. He was the Clippers were making everything. They were licking their lips. It was absolutely unbelievable watching it transpire. I honestly thought I was hallucinating. Like I was under the influence of some sort of drug. It was kind of late, and I'm watching this like, how is this happening? Why is nobody on the Jazz? And as a guy who thought this was the year of Mike Conley, I was very angry. I wanted to throw stuff at my TV. Mike is not on the Olympic team either. I blame Rudy Gobert for this. I think if the Jazz win this, Mike Conley gets asked to be on the Olympic team. Instead, none of that happens. Screw you, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Mike Conley to the Lakers would be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? If you talk about the Lakers needing a point guard, that's the move that we need. We need Mike Conley to go play with his Ohio brethren, LeBron James. He's a savvy vet. He's the perfect kind of point guard for LeBron. Can get you a bucket if you need one. And I'm hoping for that for Mike Conley. Maybe maybe next year.
Get me on that
next
staff.
year. Next year is the year of Mike Conley.
Get me on that staff.
Maybe you take Jay Kidd's spot on the staff.
I'll take Jason Kidd's spot. We'll be the Ohio Lakers. Me and Mike and LeBron.
Oh, man. I think it's a good way for LeBron to endear himself again to the Ohio State community. Again, he has a locker room there.
That's true.
He has a locker in the locker room there. And it's just like one other kind of, feather in the cap to say, I always take care of my Ohio people.
Whoever wins
the Lakers.
Whoever wins the Duke Ohio State game is the school that LeBron is going to go to. I think.
That's Bronny's. That's Bronny's.
That's where Bronny's going.
Yeah, before Bronny goes to the G League and plays for Ignite, you got to think about the school that he would have gone to.
Number one on the fraud power rankings.
I'm excited.
Wrapping this up. It could only be the one man, Ben Simmons. Nothing else really.
I forgot that happened. Honestly,
Ben Simmons. Yeah. Again, it happened while we were away, but yeah, that happened. That's all you really need to say. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's probably for the best. Ben Simmons. Just it is gotten to the point where it's just kind of sad, honestly, Tate. That's where I was at with it. It was, but also, what the hell is going on in Philadelphia that they broke Ben Simmons, they broke Markelle Fultz. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm just asking questions here.
Yeah, it goes back to, are we drafting the prospect or are we drafting the person? And I think the prospect of Markelle Fultz, who shoots 40% from three in college and yada, yada, yada. And the prospect of Ben Simmons, this 6'10" point guard who can guard 1 through 5. The prospect of it is great, but the person of it, my dad said something very funny, which I think is a great point about Ben Simmons. He said, what does he do when he just goes and goes to the gym? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't shoot around. Like, what does he do? You know what I mean? Like, does he do defense? Does he do just defensive slide drills?
What he does?
Because no wonder he hates basketball. I'd hate basketball if I went and did defensive slide drill.
He sits on the bench and does the move where you dribble the ball underneath your legs. And
yeah,
every so often
true.
You kick your feet back and forth and do it between your ankles.
Yeah. But like that to me kind of says everything about Ben and basketball, right? I don't. And the fact that he's not playing, I mean, I don't know if you've heard all the Team Australia stuff, right? He was supposed to play for his country. That was the expectation. And then he kind of didn't even really tell anybody he wasn't going to play. And now he's not going to play because he's going to work out. And you know this, and I know this. Nobody gets better by practicing in an empty gym. You only get better playing games.
Yes.
And that's just the fact. And anyone that will tell you different is probably a trainer, and they're probably a liar. You know what I mean? And so the fact that he's decided not to play in games and not go and, work through it at some level, that worries me even more. Rich Paul's on the case. He's going to try to get him traded. But if I'm Philadelphia, I'm not trading him for pennies, I'm going to make him come back and deal with it. Like Kobe Bryant airballed shots against Utah. Magic Johnson was called Tragic Johnson. It's not like we haven't seen Steph Curry was not clutch. LeBron James sucks after 2011. We've seen all these great players get, skewered in the playoffs before. So if Ben really wants to be a great player, which I think is a decision he has to make.
I don't think he does. You ready for this? This is digging back.
Well, he's a role player then, and then you can't make max money as a role player. I mean, that's just the facts.
I want to dig back into the archives and talk about his one season in college, because when it was happening, I was in awe at how good he was. He had, if you go back and look at his stats that he put up his one season at LSU, they're mind blowing. He was insane. It was ridiculous. It turned a lot of people off that guys like me who we didn't have a podcast at the time, but I was writing articles for Grantland, I believe. And I could not compliment Ben Simmons' talent enough. And ESPN loved talking about him because they knew he was going to be the number one pick in the draft. And then fast forward to when Trae Young comes around 2 years later, and people hated Trae Young because they felt like this was the Ben Simmons experience all over again. That was a guy that puts up awesome stats, but is his team going to even make the tournament? Yada, yada, yada. Ben Simmons soured a ton of people, Tate, that year.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you remember, he wasn't even on the Wooden Award watch list because his GPA was too low, because he didn't go to class, because he didn't want to be there. And I remember having arguments with people about like whether that was a red flag, whether Ben Simmons not going to class, not caring, like I don't think there's ever really been a superstar player at the college basketball level that so flagrantly, so obviously did not want to be in college. Was like, get me the hell out of here so badly. I hate it here. I cannot believe I have to be here. And there's one contingent of people that said, I don't blame him. It's stupid that he has to be here. He's going to be the number one pick. He's super talented. He plays for a bad coach and bad teammates and a bad conference. Like, this is stupid that he has to be here. On the other hand, no one made him be there. That's not how it works. That was the misconception, was that the NCAA, that Mark Emmert is going to like
Mark
17.
Get in the class, man.
Mark Emmert is not going into the living room of 17-year-olds and putting a gun to their head saying you must go to college. Especially
because he was from Australia. He could have played the NBL.
He could have just stayed there. So I didn't really feel that bad for him, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know if it's a red flag. It's probably just a guy who's checked it. I didn't really know where I landed on it. Fast forward to where we're at now. And I'm going to very conveniently look back in retrospect and say that the warning signs were there all along, that I don't think Ben Simmons ever really loved this. I think he was really, really good at basketball. I think he really, really likes basketball. I think he loves that people know his name and he gets paid millions of dollars and he can be on the cover of a GQ. I don't know if he actually has been, but he seems like a guy that has been.
Yeah.
He loves all of that.
I'm not sure if he has been. I shouldn't say definitively, but I'm sure he wants to be.
If
he hasn't been on there yet, he's going for it. Yeah.
It feels right.
Devin Booker next on that list coming up very soon.
I think he loves all of that, and it's the basketball part that he's like, damn, this sucks. And I think Scott, this was the point. Pippen has made a lot of points in the past week, but isn't this one of the points he was making?
Can we all agree to turn off Scottie Pippen?
I know, but I think he made a good point. If I suss through what he was saying correctly, talking about the difference between Simmons and Giannis, that like Giannis will airball free throws and he doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care how uncool it looks. He doesn't care that the whole crowd is laughing at him.
Yeah, it's not about looking cool. It's not about the show. It's not about being the man. It's not WWF. You know what I mean? It's Simmons, basketball.
That is all he cares about, is how it looks, and he would rather pass up wide open dunks because God forbid he misses that shot and everyone clowns him on Twitter. So it's like easier if I just pass this up, then I won't get made fun of, which is not true. We made fun of you even more for passing it up, but I don't know. It's very bizarre. He's inside his own head, and for that reason, he's number one on the fraud power rankings. I don't know how he comes back from this state. I don't know how. Because you say that he has to go play. He has like stuff to work on. I feel like he needs a sports psychologist.
I was gonna say
that's what he needs more than anything.
It wasn't even something where like I don't even think he has any. I mean, obviously he has a lot to work on, but like just go play and just take shot, like miss shots, like. Because the thing about it is, it's not that he can't shoot. As everyone, I feel like that's been the whole. It's not that he can't shoot. It's that he refuses to shoot. Yeah. And that's like a cardinal sin in basketball. Because like when you have a good shot, you have to take the shot because it at least keeps the defense honest to know that like they have to worry about you. If you're always playing 4-on-5, this is why Joel Embiid obviously is very frustrated, because he's like, when we're on offense, my operating area is taken up by him, and he doesn't help us by not taking shots outside of our own operating area. So we're in this constant, battle of space, and there is no space for Ben. And so they can't play together if Ben's not going to shoot. And it's obviously been proven. We're 5 years into the guys. We're 5 years. We're in the NBA 5 years. You played 82 games for 5 years. Like, and you still won't shoot. Who cares if you airball it? Who cares? It's worth seeing a video on House of Highlights of someone, that comedian, I can't remember his name, when he was like, Ben Simmons in a game, he jumps up and he just keeps throwing the pass. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's more embarrassing, I feel like, than airballing.
Yes, so it is.
He needs that's what needs to be drilled into his head. An airball, who cares? Like, but passing when you're supposed to take the shot, that's more embarrassing. And then maybe that flips his whole thing. I don't know. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.